We think there are some overly hated games.
Biases need not apply.
Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast.
We legal now.
We're coming at you live from Heat Index 107, Texarkana, Arkansas, technically.
Game's gone wild.
They're so hot. Anyway, we are Triangle Squared. If this is your first time joining us, we like to discuss PlayStation news, the week's releases, and always like to kind of dish out on a major topic. You can find us on YouTube, where we post every Monday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and also to podcast services around the world. You can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, bunch more. I say this every time, and I love it because I don't know what they are.
There's so many that go between other, like, what is that, a ISS feed? Or no,
it's RSS feed.
RSS
but I'm going to tell you what. If y'all listen to this on podcasts, y'all start tweeting at us at Triangle SQRD. Let us know what y'all listen to so I can clean this segment up.
Yeah.
I know I started adding Podbean in there because of somebody who said that they listened on Podbean.
Well, SoundCloud is blowing up lately. So
yeah,
I used Podbean for a while there, and one of my favorite podcasts is on it, thankfully. But I had everything saved, and like I went to go listen to it, and then it had like removed everything out, including where I was on in the middle of a podcast, and I was like, I'm just gonna listen to YouTube because I have YouTube Red.
Yeah, YouTube Red is really, I end up never listening to it on audio services because it's just as easy for me to just put it on YouTube Red.
Yeah, and it's almost the same thing.
And even when I listen on my phone, I can just lock the screen and keep on going. Speaking of that, this is completely off topic, but you know they're finally actually going to put Google Play Music and YouTube Red into one service instead of them being separate, but you get both if you pay for a subscription.
Good, because I use Google Play Music instead now, since Spotify follows that weird algorithm where it's always the same 20 songs.
Oh, yeah. So that's going to be cool. Anyway, looks like another week where for some reason I just didn't get to see you. Actually, I know why. This has been hell week for me for work and
both
everything.
of us, really.
Yeah, it's been a hell past 2 weeks or three or so for work, but that's okay. You got to work to do what you want to do in life, you know? Or at least that's what they tell me. So what have you been playing, good sir?
Nah, a lot.
Not a lot.
So I got to play the Destiny beta, Destiny 2 beta with friends, actually. Like me and Joe played. And that was
last time, did you not?
No. That was, I only got to play single player until, I can't remember what night it was. I think it was like Tuesday night, maybe. But it was a blast. So I got to go to the social space, the farm. Got to get a little top of the level up there. That was pretty cool.
Wait, there is a social space in the
It
beta?
was only for an hour because they needed to do a server test.
Oh,
like a stress test.
Yeah, stress test to see how many people can fit per. Because, you know, I wonder if they're going to do it like they did with Destiny 1, where they break you up into instances. I'm assuming that they would
pretty
have
much,
to.
Yeah. I think it's like a cap of 20 or 30 people, like it was.
Is that what it was? I felt like it was like 50.
It always felt like there was 50 people there.
But the towers really, the segments were compact enough that they felt full.
Yeah, and that's kind of how.
And most of the people stay in the main segment.
That's the opposite of this, really.
Really?
There was no vendors, so you couldn't tell what was. You could see like the little vendor stations, but you couldn't really tell where the popular point was going to be in the farm. I think it's called the farmhouse, or maybe just the farm. But it was really cool. The soccer was fun. Oh my God, was the soccer fun. I felt like I was playing Rocket League with legs.
Yeah.
There was weird little quirks about it, like little hidden spots that you could see, but you couldn't get to. And then you can get on top of the level, which was pretty cool. And it was fun. I finally beat Breath of the Wild, and I'm kind of replaying it again. I'm really going through and get all the armor and stuff. Like all the Guardian armor and Ancient armor.
Okay. I'm still highly on I haven't cared to play that game in forever.
Oh, it's so
Even
good.
though what's funny is the boss I'm on is actually highly reminiscent of, or at least the Divine Beast I'm on is highly reminiscent of like the second or third Colossus from Shadow of the Colossus, the one where you're shooting its feet.
Oh, there's another one that reminded me of that. It's the flying one. You may not have gotten to that one yet.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
I've only done the elephant and...
Yeah, there was another one that actually reminded me
I'm on
closely.
the desert one, whatever he is.
Yeah, that's like the last one I always do because that thing is annoying. That's the least temple I hate, that's the least one I like the most. I can't stand it. But other than that, that's really it. I've gotten into playing Magic again, so they have the Magic the Gathering online client. So
so you've been playing it as a video game.
as a video game,
Okay.
which is cool because they have things on there cost real life dollars, just like in real life, of course. That's
So hold on. Do you mean it's well? I mean, not necessarily equivalent. Is it kind of like Hearthstone?
it's better, I think, because you can go through and buy things. I'm not too sure what that sound was. That kind of scared me, but it looks like we're still going good. But so you can go through and buy complete decks if you want.
Yeah.
They have these things called tickets. Each ticket is equivalent to $1. And you can go through card bots and look through cards. You can buy individual stuff, and then
You earn tickets with wins.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
it, depending on what you do, tickets. It's almost like Friday Night Magic. If you go to over Excalibur and play,
Never done it.
it costs $10.
Okay.
So to join an event, it could cost 10 to 20 tickets. And then if you do good, you get tickets back, and then you can sell your tickets for money.
I gotcha.
Or you could
Gotcha.
buy cards, and then when the card prices inflate, you can sell those cards for tickets and then convert that to money. So you can actually make money doing this. So
Okay.
it's pretty fun. But that's really it. I've been really boring this week. What about you?
Much of what I kind of had last week, I've been playing Diablo still. Still chipping away at that Crash Bandicoot 2 Platinum, like I mentioned right before we started recording. I'm missing one time trial from the second or one of the later snow levels or
Right.
ice levels, and I'm missing the time trial for the very last level, Spaced Out. And then I haven't touched either of the bonus levels, which is like Totally Bear and Totally Fly, which I think is a bear run level and a jetpack level, respectively. Anyway, you know how I told you I thought I'd do bad on the jetpack levels?
Right, you doing pretty good.
I at one like random moment, it clicked for me, and I flew through them and got the gold first try on both of them.
That's always good when
But
that
I
happens.
went through them trying to get all the boxes first, and that's what kind of made it click with me. Then when I went back to do time trial, it just bam, killed it.
I love it when you've been replaying something and you go back to it, and then you just can either beat the
Yeah,
boss
because
or
I
you can beat
took
the level.
time away from that game when I was playing a whole bunch of Kingdom Hearts, and then actually, you know, I did jump back into season 11 of Diablo 3. I'm still getting extremely close to platinum that game. Right now, I'm working on my hardcore character where it's permadeath. And I'm like level 25, so not that far into it, but me and Donovan are doing that. We're kind of nailing that down. So I still do plan to achieve the Diablo 3 platinum. I want to say if I can keep playing it, and I mean, it's really fun to play with someone. I'd say if me and Donovan can keep meeting up at regular intervals, I would say maybe a month or two.
That's pretty good.
It's still a little grindy, but I also just don't want to dump completely back into it like I was doing. I still want to try and get through Warped, since I haven't played that at all. Before I jump into Warped, I'm going to Platinum 2. Otherwise, I feel like it'll be a long time before I come back to Platinum it.
Yeah, especially
So
with
other
this
than
holiday
that, yeah,
season.
Disgaea 3 on Vita still. And that's kind of just where I've been. So not too terribly much of a change, but, you know.
Yeah, I think we're kind of boring in that aspect for the most part. Because when Destiny 2 comes out, boy, will that be the Dark Souls 3 meme all over again. That's all I'll be
all you
playing.
play is Destiny. Yeah. So anyway, how do you want to do? You want to go ahead and jump into the drop, or do you want to do news?
Well, we are filming on a Thursday, so there's no drop.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
Oh hey,
I
we don't
mentioned
have
this.
a drop.
Yeah, I mentioned this the last episode. So what I figured was I actually had a topic in the back of my mind, but what we were kind of talking about right before we did the show, or currently doing the show, is that there's something in the news that can relate to a potential little brief discussion. I'd like to use that as the time for the drop, so I'll let you go ahead and go through the news.
Sounds good.
And then when we get done with the news, we can go back and reference it.
And you know, there's one piece of news I forgot to type out, but I definitely know, and I know enough about it to remember it. And I already know you're gonna be like, "What the hell?" It's gonna be great. So
I wonder what this is that
I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. Let's see. And I'm gonna do them in a slightly different order because of the way you want that topic to work.
Well,
out.
yeah, and that's about 10 minutes off. Just a FYI.
Okay, doesn't matter. All right, let's see. First things first, Sony have announced next month's PS Plus lineup. Starting on August 1st, users will be able to download the following games. Just Cause 3 on PS4. It means that they've been listening to people about wanting these AAA games on the service. Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, which I knew sounded familiar, and I actually looked it up.
Is it that side scroller one?
No, it's technically like the standalone DLC for Assassin's Creed 4.
Oh,
Black Flag.
yeah.
So it's about a slave who like frees himself and then runs his own pirate crew, something like that. Which actually that's fine because I heard I was having with one of our Twitter followers. I was having a conversation about how I've heard a lot of good things about Black Flag. I just never managed to actually go back and play it. And then right as we were talking about that, the PS Plus things are going up, and the user who had our question, the reader mail for the day,
Right.
I can't think of his name right now. Darn it, what is it? Ryan Trismo Sport? Yeah, okay. Anyway, he was saying that I should just try the PS Plus game, and I went and checked it out, and yeah, Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. So I'll get to see how Black Flag plays, and I might go back and actually play the full game because of that. The next game on the list is actually Super Motherload for PS3, which I'm a little disappointed it's not the PS4 version. Super Motherload, just for those who don't know, started life as a little, and I played it all the time when we were in school, man, when we were in high school. Started out as a flash game where you are a ship and you are on Mars and you're digging down into the crust of the earth and you're finding rare minerals and bones and like rare ancient stuff, and you come back up and you sell them and you upgrade your ship so that you can go further down, and you have to keep gas in your engine. You have hull, so if you screw around and fly into stuff too often, and it's like a
Was this on mini clips?
Yeah, probably. And you could log in and save your progress. And it had it had a fun story to it, which was surprising for the time period. The game was super fun, and they actually right when the PS4 was launching, they brought it over to consoles in the form of Super Motherload. The original game was just called Motherload, and this one was like taking the idea and really ramping it to the nth degree, and just letting it really, really soar. And I love that game. I actually played the hell out of it. I got all the way to the final boss and could never beat it because I wasn't prepped enough.
Probably because we were also in school when you were playing it.
No. I beat the one in the original game, but they changed the way it all works in the new one. And I actually still have that save on my PlayStation. I plan on going back and beating that game one day. It'd be better if I had somebody to play with me, but alas, I do not. So next game up is Snake Ball for PS3. So that's two PS3 games, Super Motherload and Snake Ball. Then the Vita games are Downwell, which is PS4 cross-buy as well, so you'll get that for PS4, and a game called Level 22 for Vita, which I've never heard of.
Never heard of that either.
So, and I looked through the games. I looked through the games a lot, and I don't know why it doesn't even ring a bell. So I don't know if it's something relatively newer or not. Next up on the list, EA have announced that The Sims 4 will become. What you doing, buddy?
You mean EA?
Yeah, I messed up the first time.
Oh, okay. I thought you said EA. I'm like EA, hey, like a name. I was like, I thought I was about to get on you for mispronouncing names.
Electronic Arts have announced that The Sims 4 will be coming to PS4. I typoed and put PS3.
Thank goodness, dude.
It's coming to PS4 later this year. There will be a standard edition, which comes with Perfect Patio Stuff pack, and the Deluxe Party Edition for even more additional content that I didn't feel like listing.
I told you we were buying building Annie a PC.
Yeah.
That was why.
For Sims?
Yeah, so now I just saved myself like $800.
Bam, there you go.
So there we go.
The game's set to release on November 17th. So if that doesn't move,
good old Thanksgiving games.
They always come to consoles just later.
Way later, too.
Way later.
And the DS games are crazy.
I never played the DS ones besides the one that was also a GBA game, which was the Sims, Herbs Sims in the City. And the Game Boy one was way different, and I love that game.
I went underground, and there's like a rat. You could become Rat Man.
Oh, awesome.
Dude, it was, that game was good. There was
I have like a real in and out with the Sims. I think the series is cool.
I loved
Sim City on PS1. Oh, my God.
Oh, I didn't even know that was on PS1.
Sim City 2000, it was great.
I only played all those on PC.
Next game up on the list is competitive VR game Spark, SPARC, in case you're interested. Has a release date described as a full body experience. The game has you use two move controllers to throw projectiles across the court at your opponent while also dodging, blocking, or deflecting their shots.
Is this an online game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The game is set to release on PSVR on August 29th for $29.99.
That's not bad.
That's not a bad price at all. And it depends. I mean, I like getting into this competitive aspects of these. I think that's a cool way to do VR because it's going to give people more of the incentive to go through the setup process of VR.
Boy, give me my Yu-Gi-Oh game. Throw down a card and it pop up in front of me.
You get to see Black Rose Dragon or whatever. That'd be balling. All right, let's see. Next thing up is, speaking of VR, 4 new PSVR games were confirmed for Western release during the China Joy Expo. The 4 games are Stifled, a horror game where you must make sound to see the environment around you. So using the headset's built-in mic, I don't know if you know that, the PSVR's got a little mic underneath the lip.
Yeah.
So using that built-in mic, you can actually use your voice to illuminate your surroundings as well as interact with different items. So to what extent, it's kind of crazy, but it's got a cool looking art style. It's like black, and then when you talk, you see like white outlines of everything.
That is really cool, actually. I like that a lot. What's it called? The Walker? Or is that the second one?
It's called Stifled. Yeah, The Walker is the second game. It's a fantasy combat game built for VR. The game has you use a mix of swordsmanship and sorcery to save the world from a demonic militia. And it's kind of weird. Like you can uncover new spells and stuff. So it looks like it could be a pretty cool game. Next game on the list is Kill X, a thriller game set on a secret island where you'll uncover horrific experiments on humans by an organization set on discovering immortality. Which is pretty cool. So Legion Commander is the final game, which actually, when I looked at this game, I was like, what a cool way to do this. It's kind of like what you're talking about with Yu-Gi-Oh! To an extent, but instead of it being a card game, this is a real-time strategy game where you select a commander and form an army, and like you push them out, and like you're just perspective viewing everything that's going on as you're doing it.
That's pretty cool. I wonder how warped it'll look though, because something tells me that game will have like a circular kind of thing going around on your peripheral vision.
I don't know. That's a good question. There's screenshots, but that's not going to be true to how it's going to look when you have the headset on. Yeah. So it's hard to say.
Because we all know the Earth's flat anyways.
Yeah.
I like how you disagreed with me on that.
You one of those flat earthers?
Flat Earth.
All right.
Airplanes' windows are curved.
To just ruin the, yeah.
Dude, I've been watching some flat Earth debates lately. Oh my.
Tell me no.
Oh my, I love it so much. I got to show you one particular video you have to watch. Not saying I think Earth is flat. I think it's hilarious to see people debate this.
Hey, look, if you want to believe the Earth is flat, more power to you. I don't really care. I feel like there's enough evidence to show that it's not. It's enough evidence to show that it is round and it's against their argument. But hey, whatever. It's like the woman who put the dinosaur bones in a cup. was talking. I don't know if you've seen that video. It's ridiculous. All right, I'm going to skip this next one since it's going to be the last one.
Yeah, we'll rotate it.
Brawlhalla, a game that we kept being super confused about. Okay.
A beta?
Okay, do you remember I had the beta, right? And then we were talking about it came up on the drop for release. And then it just mysteriously, we could never find it again, right? All right, so I decided to look into it and I figured all this out. So Brawlhalla enters its final phase of beta soon.
Got it. Okay, so that is really confusing.
And they have announced that the game will have cross-platform play with PC at the release of the actual game, out of the beta once the game launches. Though the game is free to play, buying the Founders Pack grants instant beta access, which I thought it was important to put in here. It's not required to get into the beta, but you can sign up for the beta otherwise. It doesn't guarantee you'll get in, but if you buy the Founders Pack, it is a guaranteed in.
Right. Okay, that's pretty cool.
And what else the Founders Pack gives you is it gives you all of the current fighters, which is not going to be in the normal free-to-play version. You'll have to like unlock them or buy them or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll get all of the current fighters and all of the future fighters they add as the game continues to go on at no extra charge. That's pretty cool.
How much is the Founders Pack?
They haven't. They went into this on the PS blog. They haven't actually discussed. They haven't let anybody know the price because of all the differences in currencies. They said that it's, in their opinion, which who knows. But with it being a free to play game, it's probably is. They said it's a really good value. They wanted to make sure it wasn't something.
Yeah, it's just.
And this is more. And the thing is, they were saying that there's another pack you can get once the game releases, and this is the same thing as it with way more extra stuff. So I'm assuming they're probably going to be priced the same.
I think
this is just going to be for people who hop in and buy this now before it's like early support. It's kind of like Indiegogo stuff.
And I kind of think Killer Instinct and games kind of like League of Legends. They do it too. The game's free, but then you have to buy characters.
Or they rotate characters.
Yeah,
it's like that kind of is what it seems like.
Because in fighting games, you ever only pick two to three mains.
Actually, to be fair, I used a lot of the fighters in that game, and depending on, I'm going to buy the Founders Pack probably just to support the game because I think it's a fun game.
Yeah,
but that's just something I thought was cool. So, yep, you don't have to do it, but if you want to go sign up for the beta and play that, we did an episode of Party Plays on it as our first episode. If you want to see what it's like, it's kind of a Smash-like style game.
It was fun,
but it is different, and I think its differences are charming enough to make it its own type of fun.
I'll definitely download it for free and buy the character I played in the beta. I can't think of his name, but it was good.
Lucian? You hated Lucian, you said.
Lucian was the hunter, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I did not like playing as him. I like the Crystal Knight guy.
Okay, yeah, I got you. All right, the one thing I forgot to top up on here, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Final Fantasy 15's multiplayer has finally been talked about. All right, so I'll come back into frame so we can talk about it. Okay, so Final Fantasy 15's multiplayer, as they've talked about a little bit, the multiplayer DLC has been announced, and it's actually way more in-depth and actually sounds way cooler than what I would have imagined when they first started talking about it. So the way they're going to do it is that you remember Final Fantasy 15 had hunts, right? These are going to be new, larger scaled hunts, and they're going to be set up to where you and 3 friends, or you and 3 other players, so 4 people, can join up. You can completely customize your character the way he looks. And the reason that it works out is it's almost like Monster Hunter. You 4 come in, you go on a hunt, you find the thing, people can die, you have to revive them and stuff like that. But the grind to keep you kind of wanting to play it is, yes, there's new hunts you unlock as you go along, but just like Monster Hunter where you have to grind to get the gear you want, there is gear that you're going to get on here that will continue to make your character better, and different weapons that you can get as you continue to grind.
Well, color me pink. That's actually really, really cool.
Dude, in terms of depending on when it comes out versus when Monster Hunter Worlds come out, it may be something that kind of ends up scratching that itch.
Did they ever fix the ending or whatever, or like the whole chapter patch or whatever they did?
Chapter 13, I think that patch has been done, but
I'll have to look into it. Honestly, if they had that game and they added more creatures to the overworld, because they already fixed one complaint I had, the driving. You can actually drive now.
Well, you can drive off road.
Yeah,
and you can customize the car way more.
Well, way more. I was gonna say, yeah, you could definitely. I had a weird.
Well, you could customize it, but now you can put like different tires and rims and stuff on it.
Oh, okay. See now,
which is just stupid.
If they just added a good amount of creatures in the middle and maybe more variety or more hunts, I'd enjoy that game better. And well,
there's quite a bit of hunts, but you had to go to different places to get them.
Yeah, and that was tedious.
Actually, I kind of like the hunts. That was a cool.
The hunts were cool, but the distance between the 2 different hunt vendors is too long.
Well, when you've already gone across the overworld and you can just teleport everywhere, it's fine. But early game, when you're kind of going from place to place, it gets weird.
Yeah, I could never do that.
Yeah, it gets weird.
I got to that first big city and gave up.
Well, anyway, so you actually somewhat impressed.
That actually sounds pretty cool. That's one of the DLCs that game's done that I actually agree with.
See, my thing came down to, as soon as they basically were saying that they weren't going to have it be multiplayer open world, I was like, I dig it.
Because at first I was thinking that you could just run around and kill stuff with your friends. I was like,
which
okay,
actually, to be fair, that actually sounds boring.
Yeah, I was going to say more of the empty world, but with friends. So, yeah.
So I like the idea of it being hunts.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's structured.
And definitely imagine this. You know the hunt that you do when you do, and this is early game. It's technically a slight spoiler, but not really, because you don't have to do it, I don't think.
Yeah, you do.
You do have to do the behemoth hunt?
The very first hunt, yeah. The only hunt I think
the behemoth hunt's really like guided and structured. And
that was the beta boss, right?
Yeah,
so
it was
if you played the beta,
that's
not even a spoiler anyways.
But the behemoth, which is the first hunt, you have to go through it, and it's like it's in an area that's actually enclosed and kind of funneled, why does it keep making that noise?
I don't know.
It's killing me.
It might be your mouse or something dying.
Oh, I think it is.
Hey, there we go. Solve that problem.
I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. What I was saying is that area is so enclosed and set up for you to be able to do cool things. Like you could lure him into these barrels that you could blow up with your magic. I like that.
Yeah.
Because it was like a Monster Hunter thing. It's like, okay, we're all in this area. And
he was also really hard, too.
He was. It was fun, though. Could you imagine if all of the hunts they were designing for the multiplayer are like that, though? That would be awesome.
What was that? Wasn't that part of getting your car fixed? Or getting your car, or getting money to get the car out or something?
It was an episode to Skay, but I don't think it was in this one. I think this was just, I'm pretty sure it was a Chocobo mission.
Oh, you might be right. That might be the first Chocobo mission.
Because I think that he was eating Chocobos or some crap.
I don't remember what.
I don't know, but it was something like that. Anyway, I think those kind of hunts for the multiplayer would be awesome.
Yeah, and when you say multiplayer in Final Fantasy 15, I think of you roaming around doing nothing with friends. Which this adds structure and it adds objective and it adds gear. That's kind of cool. So
yeah, the gear thing really sold me. I was like, what a great idea.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy that idea. So I may very well pick up Final Fantasy 15 again and I'll try to go through. I'll admit when I'm wrong, and if I enjoy it, then I'll admit it. But we'll see. I may just get it for the multiplayer, which is something I never would have said for Final Fantasy games in my life.
Now to be fair, you got Final Fantasy 14 just for multiplayer. Anyway.
I guess that is. Well, yeah.
Okay, last piece of news, and what we're going to kind of do our mini topic off of, is that Uncharted: The Lost Legacy is proving. Yeah. I am having problems reading today, Saul. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy is providing another first for the series. The game will feature an open world area with an open-ended structure for completing objectives. The game alters the dialogue depending on the order in which you complete the objectives, giving a more dynamic sense of choice than the wide, linear Madagascar chapter from Uncharted 4. So, for those of you who have played Uncharted 4 or who are interested in The Lost Legacy specifically, I don't want to rail too much on it in case you don't like Uncharted. The way that this is being framed out is that you go into an area and you actually have a map that you can pull up and you can see the area, and it shows you objectives on the map and you can sit there and look at it, and you can basically go, I'm going to tackle these in any direction I want, which is kind of something that Killzone Shadowfall tried. So you see all the areas and you can go to them, but they all do still tie into the major plot. There's just different objectives throughout the chapter. So what this is doing is letting you go around this entire world. It's a little more sandboxy, whereas when you were doing the Madagascar chapter in Uncharted 4, you're just in a Jeep and you're driving, but it is funneling you to these specific set pieces, and then there's nothing else.
Right.
You don't get to choose which order you do these things. You're funneled to them.
Yeah, it's linear.
So it is, and that's why I think when they describe that as wide linear, it's right. It's like, yeah, you have
a big open space.
It's a big open space, and it gives the illusion of scope without them having to worry about filling things in. So what I think about this is cool is that, yeah, they're also taking like, well, okay, not only is the game giving you the option to do them in an open-ended structure, it's also saying, hey, if you do them in a different order, we're going to make sure that the dialogue works with that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So what I thought was interesting about this, and what I feel like is the most obvious answer, is you don't... Naughty Dog obviously can do anything they want to behind scenes, but I think this is I think that they use this game as a chance to work on something that they're actually putting out, and also kind of see fan reaction to the open world elements of the game, so that we can possibly see something like The Last of Us 2 have similar situations.
Which would be cool.
And if they did, I think that's a cool idea. Now, like I was saying, this is not a first for narrative heavy games. To be fair, Uncharted is way more narrative heavy than something like Killzone Shadowfall. But Killzone Shadowfall was a linear experience that said, hey, look, here's a big open area. You can see your objective points. You go and hit them in any order that you want.
Yeah.
But that game is not quite as story heavy and character heavy as something like Uncharted is. So if Naughty Dog, definitely, because they are, in most people's opinions, they're a great studio. Even people who don't necessarily like the games understand why people like the games for the most part.
Yeah, because they're enjoyable. The gameplay is good and the stories are good, so it's an equal.
Well, there's some people that actually say that The Last of Us has terrible gameplay, which I just cannot fathom. But hey,
it's a solid third-person shooter that has good cover mechanics and good crafting system. What's to hate?
Okay. The Order is a solid third-person shooter.
I can see that though, because it's a little slower than The Last of Us.
The Last of Us is a little weightier. Anyway, so that's the thing that's cool. So what do you think about the part, though, or really, I guess, the chance of The Last of Us 2 kind of incorporating some of these open world ideas? And do you think that will add or detract from the experience in comparison to what one did with just a linear structure?
I think I can harken back to Final Fantasy 15 here too, and I can say that as long as there is as long as it's huge, but it's huge in the sense that there's clusters in like distances, like it's not just open empty worlds.
Well, what I want to say is from what they showed, the area is big, but it's not too big, and they basically had it to where you don't feel like you're walking doing nothing for big periods of time. You have an area that's big enough, and there's little things for you to do if you want to from a collectible standpoint, but you're also getting to the parts and action that you want to keep the game feeling fresh. Because that's the biggest complaint that Final Fantasy had, is Final Fantasy 15, you'd find yourself running for 5 minutes to one area with nothing to do besides fight the occasional monster in there.
Yeah, or running from the occasional monster to a campsite. Yeah. Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It killed the game.
They're trying to keep the pacing up, but by still giving you this open area that feels more open. And don't get me wrong, it's big. I'm not saying it's not big, but it's probably not even the size of... I could see it being the size of the episode of Skate demo, because it wasn't actually that huge, but it was big.
Yeah, as long as there's interesting stuff in that big space, then I'm fine with it. Yeah.
So you don't think it takes away, because there's a lot of people that think that they want that pure linear, and I'm sure that even though this is still going to stick with linear because it's giving you things that are going to matter to the overall story instead of them being almost side questy, there's a lot of people I know, definitely I see them every now and then in some of the groups I'm in, where people are like, multiplayer games taking over everything, open world's taking over everything. What happened to tight-knit linear experience?
I've seen the same people say that and then crap all over Final Fantasy 13 because it's too linear. There's just no pleasing everybody at this point. Like, Final Fantasy 13 I thought was a fun game.
To be fair, Final Fantasy 13, yeah. Then again, dude, Final Fantasy 13 is an RPG that's very big and sprawling in terms of the scope of the length. See, something like, I think a lot of these people are talking about games that are these 10-hour narrative games, which is funny because you get one like The Order and people crap all over it. But you get something like Uncharted. There's people that don't like Uncharted, but there's also people who love Uncharted specifically because of the fact that it is that linear story-driven game they want. They want a tight 15-hour, 12-hour experience that doesn't feel like they're doing a lot of extra work. And I get that from a standpoint of people who don't have a lot of time to game. You want the most punch for your time.
They want something
and
to
I
be
think
able to...
that games like that are actually pretty good for that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, does that detract from those people? Because I'm sure them saying that this is technically open world is gonna throw a couple people off.
Honestly, I think that it's going to throw less people off than it's going to attract. It's going to attract way more people than it's going to throw anybody off of.
I can see that.
Because the way the reception that the trailer got at E3, the whole driving through the city scene of the truck.
Oh, you're talking about for Uncharted?
Yeah, got a lot of good reception.
Uncharted 4 specifically?
Yeah. So
yeah, that was awesome. That even added what I would say wide linear, because you were still going to end up in the same space, but instead of you always having to drive that same path, you could kind of go your own way.
Well, I'm just saying how big the area was that they were in.
Yeah,
and people were saying that how, because, in Uncharted 2, there was a good couple areas that were big old, like basically around circles, and then there was a lot of enemies in them, and then you had to kill them. And then there was areas that were inside ruins in some places, and it was full of cover and boxes and all kinds of other different things. So I think that it's going to be a good thing regardless. I think that depending on the game and the way it takes upon it is going to be kind of another thing for another day. It's really dependent on the game, but I think Uncharted could benefit from it.
I think so too. And I think that there's nothing that a team like Naughty Dog can't benefit from doing this. And I honestly got to say, even if it's just a one-off because they wanted to do something that felt different, they were saying that this may not even be the last Uncharted side story. So there's not going to probably be another big Uncharted like there were.
But another one with like Chloe in it or somebody?
Yeah, kind of like, so basically expanding the world of Uncharted without having to come back into Nate and his story. Which is yet to be seen. Who knows? People love...
I love Nate.
A lot of people loved Chloe, but not everybody loved Nadine. So, hard to say. It just depends on if they
when
can bring...
When did she come back?
Who?
Nadine.
Well, Nadine is from 4.
Okay, never mind. Who am I thinking of from 2 to 3 then?
Chloe?
Were they gone? Was she gone for a long period and they came back randomly?
Well, Chloe was in the beginning of 3. But no, Elena...
That may be who I'm thinking of.
Elena,
it was one of the white girls.
For people who don't know, Saul played Uncharted 1, 2, and half of 3, and then Sears fatigued out.
Yeah, because I played them all within a month.
Yeah, so
because I got the collection.
I did the same thing. I just love the franchise. So anyway, going off onto the final section before we get into the main topic, we tweeted out very, very last minute for any questions to read out on the show. And Mr. Ryan Turismo Sport asked us, and you have it. You want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, it is. He wants our impressions on the new GT Sport info dump, and then our expectations, our wishes, and our feelings of the new sport focus versus the traditional RPG fare. Which I'm not too familiar with any of the GT Sport games, so I can't answer this question, unfortunately, Ryan, so I am sorry.
Yeah, let me open it so I can continue to dissect it the same as you. I have this. I can get to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, because I don't really understand
one thing I think he's talking
RPG
about,
elements.
Unless I've had a crazy week, so unless for some reason, there we go, okay. Anyway, and unless for some reason they've nailed something down the last day or so that I haven't seen, I've been keeping pretty abreast on it. What I think he's talking about with impressions of the GT Sport info dump, there's a lot of stuff that they showed. Like there's going to be quite more heavy car customization than there's been in the past, and that's partially inspired by the fact of what they're calling scenes, which is just their photo mode. But there's a lot of cool spots you can set your car up and then go into photo mode, and that's why they're calling them scenes. So they're kind of like vistas, which is what they did in Need for Speed. But photo mode's a thing that's here to stay, and I don't think it's for the worst.
I do. I think that's why
I thought Horizon had a really good. No,
that's the worst one. I'm sick and tired of seeing Horizon screenshots.
Well, just because you're tired of seeing the screenshots doesn't mean the photo mode's not good.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like photo mode, like for games, like.
The share button is here to stay, man.
I've heard.
I
like screenshots and I like the way it works. It pisses me off that I hear more about, or I see more for Horizon screenshots, and I hear people talk about the gameplay of it, which is what was the good part.
Well, people have different things about that. I think the gameplay was great too. I mean, the whole game for the most part was all one great package. So whatever. But okay, so the GT Sport info dump, like I was saying, there's from what I saw, they're adding, they're calling it the livery customize or whatever, where you can go through and like put your own images on the sides of the cars and change the color paint and stuff, which is not that odd for things. But you can also so it's
kind of like what Forza does.
There's aftermarket rims and stuff like that. And now basically because of photo mode, they're putting some of these options in so that you can share the way your ride looks with other people.
So they kind of upgraded the paint job like you could in Forza, basically put anything on there.
Haven't played Forza, I haven't played Forza since Forza 4 or 5.
Oh yeah, you could do those. Like you could make some
and even then, dude,
amazing car paint.
Scratch the surface playing, because Forza doesn't feel, and I'm not crapping on Forza, but it doesn't feel like Gran Turismo does.
Yeah.
And Gran Turismo is my sim.
And see, I hate
when I think sim driving, I think Gran Turismo.
And see, I'm not a huge fan of sim driving games. That's why I think I like Forza so much, and I liked Horizon more than the regular main series.
Well, what I'm wondering with this, he's talking about his that was impressions of the GT Sport info dump, but and then on the next one he's saying expectations, wishes, feelings on the new sport focus versus traditional RPG fare. Now, what he's talking about there, when he says RPG, he means role playing in the literal sense. Like I was telling you, Gran Turismo is a series that's really wrapped around. It's kind of like walking you through the whole thing. It's like you drive and you have to drive a course and get a license.
Yeah,
and basically, if you got to get to a point where you can complete the thing and get your license.
Correct.
And that's been going on. Cool. That's been going on since Gran Turismo 1.
See, and I played whatever it is on PS2, and that's the only one.
Gran
I ever
Turismo
played.
3 or 4.
Yeah,
it was either 3, which is A-Spec, or 4. And 4 was a beautiful game. I really have very fond memories of A-Spec because my dad had that game and we had the steering wheel, and I love that game for steering wheel purposes because it's very realistic on a steering wheel. And speaking of which, some of the new steering wheels are coming out with for Gran Turismo are ridiculous.
I've seen some really
ridiculously
cool,
expensive too, though.
Yeah, I've seen some really cool simulation setups.
So I think what he's meaning, and I haven't seen a whole lot about the sport thing, but obviously they're calling it GT Sport. It does look like it's kind of taking a back seat to the more traditional Gran Turismo, and that might be why it's not a numbered title. Because this is not Gran Turismo 7. This is Gran Turismo Sport.
Yeah,
and I think that they're making this game, and maybe it's to evolve the franchise, or maybe it's to kind of get to the point where we have Gran Turismo Sport for the people who like the little bit more inclusive.
So do you think it's going to be a little more simmy or a little less simmy?
I don't know. Or is it going to have like not necessarily a slider, but can you adjust the way you want cars to handle to make them feel arcadey?
I would play it if something like that was in it.
And I don't know because it's so weird and it's so against what Gran Turismo normally is. But you know what? Forza started life as a more or less sim style racer.
Yeah.
And then we get to Horizon, which is completely arcade. So I mean, maybe if this is just Gran Turismo trying to do their hand at let's do a game that is
an in-betweener.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and if they pulled that off and they kind of let you adjust the handling, or maybe if it, I don't know though, because I don't see how you design a tight racing sim and then also with enough variables to it to where you can also loosen it up and make it feel arcadey. And I'm not sure. I think that it's weird. I mean, my wishes for it are to retain some of the GT DNA. I want it. I like the license aspect. If that's going to be gone, it's going to be something that's kind of a bummer for me. Just because I think that it's an interesting way to move your way through the game, and it gives you a different sense of progression than a normal racing game does. Because games like Need for Speed and very arcadey games,
it's not fulfilling.
They're not. They're fulfilling in the clutch gameplay moment.
Well, yeah, when you're actually in the moment, but then when you look back, you're like, well. It was shallow, but it was a fun shallow. In a sense.
And I mean, I don't know, because I like them for very different reasons. It's like rubber banding is really bad in those games, but that's to give you a sense of, because of the way those games work, it's to give you a sense of challenge. Whereas the semi aspects, I mean, it's a real challenge. It's different. Yeah, it's just a different setup.
It's a learning curve that you can kind of devote your time to do.
My wish is that it's not 100% moving away from sim.
Right, I understand because it is a franchise known for that.
Because actually, me and this guy were talking. We talked about. He asked if anybody's into Gran Turismo, and he was actually talking to the Square XO people, and they kind of directed him to us. So thank you for that, guys. We love y'all.
Sure do. Good old Mr.
Dan.
No, I know Dan.
You talking about Rebecca?
I said Mr. Silly.
Mr.
I was saying Mr. Ryan.
Oh yeah, Mr. Ryan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I know all them over there.
I thought you were talking about the Square
Rebecca,
people.
Nicole, Ben.
Who? Ben?
Big Ben, the clock in the UK.
Anyway.
You didn't get my joke.
I didn't get your joke. All right, so anyway, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. We were talking about Drive Club is what me and Ryan were talking about, and actually that's another game that goes on this list we're about to bring up. It's a game.
Drive Club?
Yeah, Drive Club is somewhere.
I never saw anybody say anything negative about that game.
Well, all right. Me and him were talking about that aspect of it too. But, Drive Club is a very odd game because it's not 100% arcadey, but it's not 100%. It's not.
That's not a word. I'm just saying simulation.
It's in this very, very weird middle spot. But the game is satisfying, even as a sim. I like it for both reasons. I can play it and enjoy it as an arcade racer, but I can also play it and enjoy it as a somewhat stand-in for a sim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it does a lot of the things that Gran Turismo has always done well. And, Gran Turismo has always been about innovation and how much, like, even Gran Turismo, it was called Gran Turismo 5 Prologue on the PS3. You bought it. It came out way before Gran Turismo 5. And it was like, okay, here, we're going to show you what we've done with weather improvements and lighting improvements. And like, okay, hey, we want this to be even more realistic. When you come out of a tunnel, you're going to get a light bloom. And that light bloom is going to hit you and it's going to affect the way that you need to make your decisions. Because, you're not going to be able to see for a second. Adjust, which I like. It adds a nice realism to it.
Yeah.
So I mean, my expectations for sport are simple. I want the series to come back to the form that people know it for. I want it to come back on top. 5 and 6 were no sell slouch. If I'm not mistaken, 5 sold better than 6. Could be wrong. But I feel like it was because 6 was right in the generational transition.
Right, and I don't think anything really.
And a lot of people
well.
thought 6, and a lot of people thought 6 was going to be ported because there was talk about it from Polyphony to be ported to the PS4, and it never did. But like I much prefer them going to an all new grounds up thing. We just need to really see more on the game to see how much it's trying to open itself up in this sport moniker. I guess my real wish and expectation is that even though we're seeing Gran Turismo Sport, we still see a Gran Turismo 7. That's my hope.
Okay.
Now, I know that you're not big on Gran Turismo, so I mean, he doesn't have much to add to the conversation.
Yeah,
Ryan,
and
but
it could be that I'd never played them.
I'll tell you what, before you go out and just buying and diving into sport, whenever I pick up sport, just come play it.
Okay.
Let's see what it does. I mean, we can stream it day of. Who cares? We can do whatever we want to. We can do impressions. We can see if we can make you a believer.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not a disbeliever currently.
Yeah,
I
know.
Did like
yeah,
the one on PS2.
It doesn't scratch your itch. I got you.
Yeah, I like Drive Club though.
It makes me wonder which one you played on PS2. They were both great.
Yeah, the cover was the front tire.
A-Spec.
Okay.
It was like a red car with the...
Yeah. Okay,
it's
I wanted to say red was in there. I just couldn't tell for sure. By the way, Mr. Dan and then Mrs. Nicole and Rebecca, don't hate me for making fun of Big Ben. Y'all can make fun of us for living in Arkansas. I still can't believe you didn't get the Ben joke.
Sorry,
I thought you would have caught on to that like that.
Apparently, I don't hate the UK as much as you do.
No, I love the UK. They brought us Gavin Free, Square XO. They have a lot of cool things over there. I wish I lived there. I'm talking with my hands all of a sudden.
Okay, well, Ryan, I want to see what your expectations, wishes, and feelings are on the new sport focus. So, I mean, and maybe you can fill me in on what I've missed. After we get through recording the podcast, I'm actually going to go check it out and see if I've missed anything else. But, I mean, yeah, from the get-go, they've been showing some stuff that, man, I'm still not over my sickness.
I can tell.
They've been showing a bunch of stuff for the game lately. I mean, the game comes out pretty soon, so we'll see.
November,
we'll see
right?
what happens. I'm pretty sure it's November.
Okay.
My brain has been a weird dump of information lately. So, moving on to the main topic, since we've babbled on about this other stuff.
Main topic. What games that we thought of were unfairly hated? Games that we thought were good that received...
Well, I'm not even going to say that. I'm saying that games that were more or less, and there's some on here that they're in this mixed realm in between, but there's games on here that obviously the sales numbers show otherwise.
Yeah, and it kind of forms... It almost harkens back to the unpopular opinion thing, where it is things we did like and people did kind of crap all over.
Well, but some of them are things that people crapped over for some reason, and then like the game comes out and they perform extremely well. That's what I'm saying. See, because like the Order didn't perform extremely well.
Or it's like the resurgence of all the people or I say all the people because it could not be the same, but all these games that were crapped on once upon a time, now it's like those were so good.
They get revered in the mirror. Yeah,
no.
It's like cult classic status because there's a lot of movies that do that. Like people are like, that movie is bad, and then for some reason they look back and they're like, that kind of movie had some charm.
The Room.
Well, that's because it's the worst movie in the world. Yeah. Did you see the trailer?
I did. I can't wait.
Oh my God.
Disaster Artist.
So a couple of games that we thought about, and like I say, the Order we've talked about a lot, so I'm not going to rail on it. It's a game that's caught in the middle. It's a game that a lot of people hate on.
Okay, so my stance on that is that I think that it deserves. No, I can see why people would hate it, but I
can't see why anybody would hate it. I could see why somebody would just be unimpressed with it.
No, I can see somebody who wouldn't have enough, like maybe they didn't have a lot of money to spend and they bought it and then they beat it in one night or one weekend and they were really mad about it.
Well, let's talk about what made us think about this topic. So what made us think about this topic is right before we started, we were kind of discussing what we wanted to be the topic, and we actually landed on the fact that Hellblade, as I shared on Twitter earlier today, looks great, good and gold, and it's getting prepped to be released on stores on August 8th. Game looks amazing.
Right.
I'm so excited to play it. So what
You can see.
All I was saying is that there's an article on Polygon.
On her. It was Polygon or Kotaku. Let me go double check that real quick.
Okay, so what he was saying is that there was an article basically where he was saying there was some criticism being given that so far the game has only showed roughly 12 minutes of gameplay. While I don't necessarily think that that's completely true, I think it's been a little bit more than that. Let's just go ahead and roll with it and say, yeah, it's only showing 12 minutes gameplay. So, and they say different gameplay, like as they splice it together. So with that being said, my counter argument as soon as he started telling me about it was like, what do you mean? He said that
once again, I was telling him about it. I was not agreeing.
But he was saying that people were talking about they don't know how long the game's going to be and what's the game going to be like, and they use the order as a counter reference, which is what is the game going to be like in terms of amount of actual gameplay versus cinematic.
It was oneangrygamer.net.
I've never even heard of that.
I'm pretty sure it's a single dude.
That sounds like a website that is just one guy crapping out crappy opinions.
I mean, I wouldn't say that.
You know what? Whatever.
I would just say it's one guy that's reporting on things that not everybody would report on, because he may not be agreeing with this article he's writing. He may just be getting the new info out there.
Who knows, man? Who knows? But let's just say, Hellblade, they've shown 12 minutes of gameplay. Let's say that's it, and that's an accurate number. What about that is a big deal? They've already come out and said the game's 10 to 12 hours. The game is not a full length, Are you looking at the website?
Yeah.
So they've already said that the game is not going to be a full price game. I think it's $30. If I'm not mistaken, it's $29.99, if not $39.99.
Which is a great price.
Is fine. I mean, that's for the amount of game you get for how fantastic it looks.
Yeah.
And from such a small team. If you ever have a time and you're interested in this game at all, not you, Saul, this is for the viewers.
Yeah, because I already looked at some of the
they've been doing developer diaries since this game has been announced, and the developer diaries have been just incredible. I mean, talking about, because it's a really small team, and they're calling this AAA indie. So what they're looking at is ways to cut costs but still give you the same quality you expect in a AAA release while doing it with a small team. They did all these things to go around the way that how to do an effective option of motion capture.
Right.
So to make sure the game looks good and looks on par. But they did all this stuff, and they talk about all the things that they wanted to do to make the game. It's just really interesting. But, I'm not going to say that just because I'm interested in the way the game was made, that the game's going to be good. I don't think I feel like you can just look at 5 minutes of promotional stuff and be like, this game looks amazing.
See, and now that's the thing that I think a lot of people are getting up in arms about, is that they say it looks amazing, but how does it play?
Well, no, but I mean, like, if you watch the way it plays, it looks like weighty.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And they're not seeing combat. The full story. I think a lot of people are kind of burned by the order, and they didn't see a lot of gameplay with the order, and this is promising the same kind of graphical fidelity, and it's kind of promising the same kind of cinematic experience, that people are weary about it. Because
I just feel like it's so weird. I've already mentioned it once, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But I feel like I've already mentioned it. It doesn't take 5 seconds of looking at Ninja Theory's background of game releases to know that they are their games are play oriented. That's right. The way that their games are always steered.
Speaking of Ninja Theory, it was your mouse that died.
Yeah,
that was that noise. Okay, but so speaking of Ninja Theory, another game on the list that I actually really, really loved is DMC, and I don't mean Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3, or 4. I mean,
which just so happens to be another Ninja Theory game. Yeah.
Right. And I loved, I think I mentioned it in episode 1 or 2 that I bought the game at GameStop, went home, and beat it in one sitting. I literally started playing it around 5 or 6, and I beat it at like 3 or 4 a.m.
And I do that with the order, and for some reason, it's a terrible game anyway.
Well, yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
This is a $40 remaster, though. I bet people who did buy that on last gen or whatever.
I don't know.
This was PS4.
The issues with that game all came down to it being a reboot and people not liking that it wasn't. Dante. Basically, what it came down to is that it was a reboot, and they were like, "We're mad. It's not the same game as it was."
Look, all right. I'm gonna tell you guys right here and there. You cannot criticize. You can do it all you want to. You're just not gonna look like a sharp pin. You can't criticize a series for having these goofy characters, and then when a new goofy character comes out, criticize it for goofy characters. No, the Devil May Cry has always had goofy characters, goofy cutscenes, goofy everything. And what's
funny to me is that people were calling the new Dante Edgelord and stuff. I was like, do you not remember what Dante was in Devil May Cry 2 and 3?
Don't play 3. I was gonna say, yeah, well, no, not 2 necessarily. Well, 2 is a lot
actually,
of people.
no, dude, 2 2 looked like he'd listened to a couple of AFI albums in a row.
No, dude, 2,
and
a lot of people diss on 2 because he doesn't do the same in jokes and stuff. Because he's older.
Yeah, I know the jokes. I'm about the way he looks. His character design.
I just think he looks older. I don't think. But you have Nero. You have I think Virgil's another edgelord because that's being Dante's twin brother and all. Yeah. But then you still have Dante. There's that Joker character. I can't think of his name.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't remember his name either. But still, yeah, I mean, people are basically it comes down to, and you know what's funny? The through line on all this stuff comes down to preconceived notions. Why did No Man's Sky get crapped on? Because somebody built it up in their head. Which I'm not going to use that example. It's actually a bad example. Why did the Order get crapped on? The Order got crapped on because people built up these weird expectations of the game in its head. All right, and then when the game came out and didn't meet the expectation or the way that the game was shaped up in their head, it was a bad thing. DMC, what happened? They heard reboot. In their mind, they were like, guess what? They're going to completely redo the game from the ground up. We're going to see a new blah, blah, blah. And instead, no, they took creative liberties with the game and made something that they thought was original. So, I mean, where does that come out? How is that a bad thing that somebody took time? Because honestly, I played the game, and as we talked about, I didn't finish DMC back on PS3. I probably got 3/4 of the way through and just got bored, but it wasn't because it's a bad game. It wasn't what I was looking for at the time. I never once thought that game was impeccably well made.
You know, that happened.
Fun combat, great cutscenes. The art style was fantastic. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the game.
Yeah, and that happened with me on Devil May Cry 4. I played through more than half of Devil May Cry 4 on the Xbox 360, and then I was just like, you know what, I'm going back to Halo, and Devil May Cry 4 is actually in my top 3 favorite Devil May Cry games.
And see, you come back to it in some way it hits you just right. And I think that if I ever played the definitive edition of DMC, I'd probably beat it and like it. But just a couple of other games to kind of name off. Let's go ahead and go through those. We talked about Drive Club. Drive Club is a game that got crapped on a lot.
I never saw that.
Partially, I mean, don't get me wrong, early reasons of getting crapped on is because the game took a long time to make, and it was supposed to be a launch game, but it kept getting delayed. So while Evolution was closed, RIP Evolution, I think they were a fantastic studio. I miss MotorStorm. I really wanted the new one. But yeah, Drive Club's a good swan song.
I liked it.
The game kept getting...
I didn't play it long.
Oh yeah, Drive Club. The game got pushed back a lot, and then originally they were like, it's going to be a PS Plus game, and then that changed where you got a PS Plus version, but it wasn't necessarily the full release, but it was somewhere in between.
That's what I had, yeah.
But the game was fun. It was just fun. It was beautiful, well made. It had really interesting controls. The way that it controlled felt unique but good. And I just think that there was nothing wrong with the game. It was just it was probably a victim of expectations at the same time. And then you have games, Infinite Warfare is a standout for me. At one point in time when the Infinite Warfare trailer launched, it was the most disliked video on YouTube at the time.
And there was a sequence in that game I didn't even know you could do. And you told me about it. I'm not going to spoil anything because I think you should go play the campaign of that game.
What do you mean?
I'll talk to you after the show.
Okay, yeah, because
it was something that I thought was done with, and then you're like, no, you could have done that and really done it.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about now?
No, but...
Okay. I'll tell you after the show then.
I feel like I remember having this conversation, but I'm not remembering exactly what I was talking about.
It's something you could do with a certain character that I thought was, oh, okay, well, that was sad. That's sad that happened so at this point in the game. And you're like, no, like, did you do this instead? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
It had a good story.
Anyway,
it was fun.
The game was really interesting.
For a single player first-person shooter story, I think it's good. I think it's worth playing through. Is it worth the $45 price point is now? Nah, no.
For the single player campaign?
No, not just for the single player campaign.
Dude, I'll go out on a limb and tell you that you know how much I spent on that game. I spent $80 on it, and I haven't even played the Modern Warfare remaster. And
you still got it?
Yeah, I still have it.
I'm gonna take it so I can go play the Modern Warfare remaster.
Dude, I'm telling you 100% right now, it's not on a disc. You had to download it, so you wouldn't be able to do that extra.
No, I just needed a disc.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was thinking about Infinite Warfare is, dude, I spent $80 on that game and barely touched the multiplayer just trying to get the trophy because I was going to platinum it, but then I realized I couldn't do it with the zombies anyway because I just didn't feel like doing zombies.
Yeah.
Dude, I got my $80 worth out of just the storyline. And that's
the story is good.
The story is fantastic. It's on par with Uncharted, which you also spent $60 for. So I feel like for a price perspective, it was good.
Uncharted. I really like it.
It was actually written by one of the writers for Uncharted. So,
well, from Naughty Dog, right?
Well, yeah.
Did they say Uncharted though?
Yeah, it was an Uncharted.
Oh, okay. Writer. I didn't know if they said.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, dude. I mean, you're taking a story.
Also, the characters are cool. Finally, they added real life people into a Call of Duty game I liked. Kit Harington.
My favorite part of the entire game was Ethan. I'm not even crapping you,
dude.
Oh,
what's his name? What's his last name?
No, Ethan's the robot. He's your robot companion.
That's
Dude,
right. I'm
he
thinking
was
of
amazing.
What was the main character's name? He had a weird name.
Yeah, hold on.
Like a really weird name.
I can't think of it off the top of my head. It starts with an R. I'm 99%.
I thought it started with a C, or maybe his last name starts with a C.
Well, they always call him by Captain, so I call him by his last name because I don't think you ever. You hear his first name. It's something with an R. Let me see what it was.
But anyways, another game on the list that I like is, and a lot of people hate. I mean, a lot of people. It's Rise. Yeah. I just now remember
Reese.
that.
Something like that. Yeah, Reyes.
But
Reyes, right?
Speaking of Reese, do you ever remember the whole Dark Knight theory about like the Riddler being in the Dark Knight?
No.
Okay, it's something stupid. You remember the guy who knew Batman's identity?
Reyes. That's right.
In the Dark Knight, do you remember the dude who knew Batman's identity? He was threatened to tell everybody. Well, he was always referred to, his last name was Reese, and he was always referred to as Mr. So his name was Mr. Reese, which they thought was something that never happened. But
off tangent. Let's continue.
Final Fantasy 13, I loved, and people are like, it's too linear. Right, it is linear, but it's good. I don't always.
Hold on. Here's the thing. Prior to that point, what Final Fantasy game was it linear? First.
No. This is really linear.
Oh no, I know.
Like
I mean,
almost
like
straight
corridors.
line. Yeah.
Yes, I know.
But there are plenty like Final Fantasy 7. You can go do what you want in that game. You don't have to go do everything. You could go explore the whole little city of Midgar if you wanted to.
Well,
you can go to the church.
You can't explore the whole city.
Well,
that's one of the things I'm actually
could.
excited to do in Final Fantasy 7 Remake, because that's what they were promising.
But you can go in Final Fantasy 13. It does open up 60 hours in. People say that it's more like 30 hours.
What a number, though.
I beat that game. I have the collector's edition strategy guide, and I beat that game, and I swear in like 50 hours at most. And so it had to have opened up like 35 hours in. But it's still good. I don't like Lightning that much. I liked the storyline was good. I liked all the supporting characters.
So I guess the real argument here comes down to how many of these games have people harkened back to now that the time has passed since they've released them.
Final Fantasy 13 was one
pretty
of them.
good, because
the second it came on Steam, that's
another part of this conversation I was talking about. I've seen so many people lately talking about how DMC was actually a great game. Like, people were like, you know what?
I've been saying that since I played it on PS4. I'm a hipster.
Like, I've seen a weird outcry for it lately where people be like, Dante was great in DMC. He was a good Dante. I wish I would have seen another one. Some people are like, man, the gameplay in DMC was amazing. Wish I would have seen another one.
My whole opinion is that old Dante is better than new Dante, but it's still not a bad character, and it's still good gameplay.
Actually, I want to say they're just different. Actually, I liked both of them. They had their own level of snarkiness that were different from each other's, but they fit the character that they made.
And there's so many parallels in between them. Like both of the games, Devil May Cry 3 and DMC started off with a pizza scene.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to really spoil where the pizza is in DMC.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, the opening for DMC is fantastic.
It is. It really is. The opening for
including
game
the wig joke that everybody hated.
I thought that was pretty funny. And actually, as a matter of fact, in the definitive edition, you could unlock the costume or whatever. I wore that costume.
The wig costume.
Yeah, the wig costume. I do. I think like
Does it look like you have a mop on your head?
I always it's kind of like that. I always loved DMC though. Like I bought the mangas, I bought the books. I always loved that universe. And
it's kind of cool lore.
And Dante and his mom and everything. But I think that was really it. Like it kind of goes back to like, what games have you guys played that got a lot of hate that was undeserved? And
yeah, like I'm not gonna say.
Then came back like a year later and like, oh yeah, that game was the great.
And there's a lot of games that end up happening that way, or games that you for some reason you sleep on and you come back to. But there's a lot of examples of games that just get hate on, and then for some reason they're remembered more fondly.
Yeah.
You see it in movies and you see it in music, you see it in all sorts of stuff. But I think it is very particular that there are games that get hated on. Now
undeserving hate.
Hellblade is on this list as a premeditative one
because it already is getting hate for lack of gameplay, but we don't know what it has yet.
I'm going to say that I don't think Hellblade will be on this list. I'm hopeful that I think Hellblade will come out, and I think it's probably going to blow people away for the price versus quality aspect of that game. It looks like it's going to play amazingly. It's going to have great cutscenes. It's going to have an interesting story. It's going to be unique in a number of ways.
Right.
And I think that's going to really ring home with people. And I wonder if we start seeing other developers start doing this AAA indie, not having to worry about anybody. They just go, hey, we're going to cut our publishers off and make a game. I don't want everybody to do that because, realistically, publishers are the reason a lot of our favorite games have ever been made because they funded them.
Right, yeah.
But I do like the idea of, because you got to think, there's no creative control over them at all.
Over Ninja Theory?
Yeah. This is them. They funded the game. They're releasing the game. There's no one person that could tell them that they couldn't do something in this game.
Right. So we'll see. Hopefully it isn't outweighed by what people are saying that
Well, talking about DMC, I am just glad that we're seeing them after a game that they got a lot of flack for. I'm glad to see them go, you know what? Let's make our own new game again. Let's go into our world. Let's do what we want to do. Let's not worry about other people, because I think Hellblade's going to fare better because of no pre-existing expectations from a franchise.
I know this is more on Capcom's side, but I do want a DMC 5 real soon.
Do you think, this is a small aside little topic, do you think it's a smart move to do a series, reboot the series, and then act like the reboot never existed and just pick back up?
You know what'd be cool? DMC 5 came out, then DMCC 2 came out, and then they were in the same universe.
How does that even happen? Parallel universe?
Yeah, I was like, that's always the excuse in comic books.
They wouldn't be the same universe. They'd be parallel universes.
They'd meet each other somehow.
But they have crossovers?
Yeah, that'd be sick.
I don't know.
Marvel, get writing. Stop it with this goofy-ass Chun-Li and get writing.
I don't know. Stop with this goofy-ass Dante.
Everything. Just shut that game down.
I'm not going to say that. I hope that game's good.
I love it.
But anyway, let us know of any games that you think that you loved and that you've seen, and actually even games that you see people kind of remember fondly now that at one point in time we're getting a lot of flack and hate. I'd be interested to see. I'm sure our list is not even scratching the surface of these
right,
games.
And these are games we just came out at the top of our head.
Very quickly. To be fair, we did not have a topic prepped before today.
When we say we really didn't get to talk to each other, we really didn't.
Yeah.
We've been busy. Sorry, guys.
But hey, you know what? This is a good episode. I don't care.
It was.
Ranting and all.
I think it's a little short, maybe like 10 minutes shorter than normal, but
it doesn't matter.
I got to get ready for family vacation.
We are slave to no time.
I get to go to some Chick-fil-A tonight.
Yeah, and you get to go sit at the lock.
What?
The lake.
Oh.
You want to say Chick-fil-A? Anyway, we've been stupid and taking up enough of y'all's time. This has been episode 18 of Triangle Squared.
Gamers Gone Wild.